On October 3rd, 2016, DJ Fickey was shot and killed while being involved in a love triangle. The DA has deemed his death as suicide. However, the evidence may point to a possible homicide. His sister, Amanda Shirley, is with us here today to share his story. Join us as licensed private investigator and your host, Heather France, takes her master's degree in criminal justice and forensic psychology to the scene, providing a voice to all things crime and more. Welcome to 1023 On the Scene with Heather France. Now, your host, Heather France.
All right, we are on. So welcome to 1023 On the Scene with Heather France. I'm Heather France, a licensed private investigator and your host. Tonight's guest, Amanda Shirley, has been fighting for justice in the death of her brother, DJ Fickey, since October 3rd in 2016 when he was shot. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you for taking the time to share your brother's story tonight and help spread awareness in the search for justice.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, our pleasure. So I guess let's start off tonight. Let's talk about your brother DJ and kind of what led up to the night when he was shot.
DJ was an average normal child growing up and everything, you know. He was the only boy of three sisters. His father passed away when he was 14 years old from cancer. A couple years after his father passed away, he had met a girl. He knew a girl from school, from high school. They were acquaintances, and they weren't like really good friends or anything like that. They just knew of each other. Well, once DJ got out of school, him and her had met up again. They started talking and dating, and next thing we knew, here comes a baby. And this was in 2014. March of 2014, DJ's the first little boy was born. After he was born, they actually got together permanently. A couple months later, they got married. This would have been August of 2014. DJ had a drug problem before he met Brandy, but it wasn't a big drug problem. It was mainly smoking pot. After him and Brandy got together, Brandy was a drug addict. She had a major drug problem, and once him and her got together, her habits kind of wore off on DJ, and that's basically where all the trouble eventually started from. Like I said, they were married in August of 2014. About a year later, I'm thinking it was December of 2015. We knew Brandy was pregnant, but in December we found out she was pregnant with twins. So about the same time that this happened, about December of 2015, DJ and Brandy started having some problems with a relationship Brandy was having with another man. DJ and Brandy stayed at a mutual friend of DJ's. Everybody called him Old Man. They were known to go up there and, stay for a couple of days to a couple of weeks. The whole time they were together, ever since they had been together. Sometime while they were staying there, this other guy moved the camper onto the property and is living on the property in a camper. Sometime or another, Brandy starts seeing this man and starts having an affair with him. He was supplying her with drugs. She would go back and forth from him and DJ from December of 2015 up until the day he was shot. There was a lot of negativity towards one another, a lot of hate. DJ hated him. I'll just say it. DJ hated this man. They had a lot of altercations with one another, physical altercations. It's just common sense, if someone is sleeping with your wife, you're not going to very much like them very much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, about 2 weeks before DJ was killed is when things started getting really heated amongst them. Like I said, DJ and Brady didn't stay there constantly. You know, they would stay there. They would come back home. They would go up there, come back home. It was like a routine with them. They would come home and they would be clean and sober for a couple of weeks, and Brandy would find a reason to start an argument or pick a fight and want to take off and leave, and DJ would want to chase right after, you know, to bring her back home.
Mm-hmm.
I say DJ had a drug problem, but I've always said that DJ had more of it was like a social drug problem,
mm-hmm.
because DJ could be home for months at a time and be clean and sober. But as soon as he would get around other people that were doing the drugs, then he would use. And so every time he would go up there to the old man's house to get Brandy and bring her back home, or, you know, to win her over, he would use. So this 2 weeks prior to his shooting, Brandy had, you know, split up from DJ. She was back with the person that was living in the camper. And of course, DJ was staying in the trailer, and he was trying to win her back over. And he did. Within this 2 weeks, he won her over. She left him again. And then 2 days before he got killed, they were back together and planning on leaving and coming home. But within this 2 weeks, the guy actually jumped DJ with a knife while DJ was getting out of the shower. That was one incident. Another incident was DJ was coming out of the trailer, and the guy jumped him with a ball bat, and DJ picked up a golf club, and they had a physical altercation. DJ knocked out the guy's tooth. The guy went in the house, and one of the people in the house heard him say, "I'm going to kill him." And she stated that she knew he was talking to, you know, about DJ. The day before the shooting, my brother called my mom. She called my mom quite often. My mom had custody of the children. DJ and Brandy willingly gave up custody to my mom because they knew that they had some issues that they needed to work out, and DJ was trying to get help for it. Brandy didn't want to get help so much. But he called to check on the kids and talk to them. And he found out, he talked to the little boy, the oldest one. He was about 2.5 at the time. The little boy told him that he wanted a train for Christmas. At the time, Jack, the little boy, was going through a Thomas the Train phase. And so when DJ found that out, when he got back on the phone with my mom, he made sure to tell her, "Don't get the train for him. I want to be the one that gets that for him, because that's his main thing that he wanted."
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, everything was good that day. He was happy. He said him and Brandy were back together, that, you know, they were going to try to find somewhere else to go, get out of there. And that was the end of that conversation. Next thing my mom knows, the next morning, a text comes in from DJ. "You've got to come get me now."
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, at the time, my mom was going through some major heart issues. Only 30% of her heart was working, and they had her scheduled for a pacemaker to be put in. The doctor told her to stay away from stressful situations. You know, don't
mm-hmm.
be under any stress. And with Brandy and DJ together around at the same time, like I said, within those 2 weeks, it was impossible to stay away from stress because of the arguing and bickering back and forth between them. So my mom told him, you know, "You can't come here, DJ. I have to have surgery. I'm sick." You know, she gave him options on where to go, places to go. And he just continued to tell her, or she asked him, "What's going on? Are you and, you know, Brandy's boyfriend into it?" And he said yes. And she asked him, "Is it over Brandy?" And he said yes. And she told him, like I said, that, "No, you can't come here." And he told her, you know, "Don't make me beg." He said, "I'm going to die if I don't get out of here. My life depends on it." And my mom didn't know that it was as serious as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Had she known, of course, she would have told him, okay, I'm on my way, I'm coming to get you. But a lot of things that my mom has actually gotten some criticism about the fact that she told her son no, and then this ended up happening. But the thing about this is that DJ was in Georgia when DJ got killed in Georgia. We live in Alabama. Where we are about 45 minutes to an hour away from where DJ got killed, the house he was staying at. And if my mom had left when he sent that first text message, she wouldn't have made it in time.
Mm-hmm.
She would have walked into a very ugly scene.
Yeah. And
could have even possibly had her own life in danger.
Oh, yeah.
But, so he's texting my mom, telling her, I'm going to end up dead here. My life depends on it. We both have to get out of here to save our lives, talking about him and Brandy. And 3 minutes after the last text message was sent from DJ, a call came into 911 from Brandy's boyfriend, stating that we got a guy here that shot himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at now, is the day that DJ got shot, and to the 911 call.
Yep, and that led us up to that. And I have seen, the text messages which you've provided, and also, I've read over the autopsy, so I can confirm what you're saying, because I have seen them firsthand, as well as, evidential photos of the location and just various things, which when I read through this case, I couldn't believe number one, the inconsistencies of the 911 call, and we can get into that more too when we'll talk about the actual evidence, but just the inconsistencies and just how much wasn't investigated, which is shocking to me. So why don't we let's talk about the evidence. There were two eyewitnesses that stated the suspect came out of the bedroom behind DJ's left side, pointed the gun at DJ, and suspect's finger was on the trigger. I guess, do you want to go into more about that or talk about that?
Yes, we can go into that. There was two witnesses. One was DJ's wife, Brandy. She was in the bathroom. DJ was sitting on a love seat texting my mom and a few others, begging for a ride and everything. Brandy was in the bathroom fixing her hair. When Brandy came out of the bathroom from fixing her hair, there was another witness that was in the bedroom behind, like next to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So when she came out of the bathroom, he would have came out of the bedroom behind her. They walked into the kitchen area together, and the kitchen it's the kitchen and the living room area are like one whole room.
Mm-hmm.
So they both walk into the kitchen area. They see DJ sitting there on the love seat. As they walk into the kitchen area, they see the boyfriend walk out of the bedroom to DJ's left side and point the gun at DJ and shoot him. Brandy states that she's seen him come out of the bedroom angrily, called DJ, and pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm. And I saw the interrogation too with the alleged suspect that we're talking about. And when he did the reenactment, which they, just to give a little setup for our listeners, when they were interrogating him, they actually brought in a shotgun and said, could you demonstrate what happened? And when he demonstrated it, he clearly, in the interrogation, states that his hand was on the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so that to me is amazing how, like, he right there admitted his finger was on the trigger.
And not only that, but, I mean, of course, he failed the reenactment of the shooting.
Right.
For the polygraph examiner. But not only that, but when you see the reenactment of the shooting, the way he says the shooting occurred, the shot would have been at an upward angle.
Right. Not at his cheek.
Right. DJ was shot at a downward angle. On the left, from the left, it was It was left to right, front to back, downward.
Mm-hmm.
DJ was right-handed. You have a shotgun. They didn't do any measurements of DJ's arms. They didn't do gun residue test of DJ's hands. They didn't do any ballistics or forensic testing whatsoever. None. So you have Brandy, the main witness, the eyewitness that says that. Then you have the other witness who first says, this is this is Brandy's boyfriend's friend. He doesn't really know DJ that well. He's more friends with Brandy's boyfriend than with anybody. So when he's first questioned, to begin with, the boyfriend tried to say that there was nobody there but DJ, him, and Brandy, which really soon everybody found out that was a lie. There was multiple people in the house when this occurred. Brandy and the other witness were the only ones that actually seen it. But they try to play it off as, they was just those three in the home. That way there was less witnesses. But anyways, when they first interviewed him, he stated that he basically went with the theory that it was a suicide. That he heard them argue, he heard DJ and the boyfriend arguing, and he walked into the room thinking that he was fixing to have to break up a fight, and the gun just went off. And so that was his first, story. Couple months later, they re-interviewed him, and he came back and stated that he knew for a fact that the boyfriend came out of that bedroom with a hammer cocked on the shotgun and pointed the gun at DJ.
Wow. And I saw the jailhouse interview, I believe you did with him and Brandy as well, where he also had changed his story yet again and was now saying that, yeah, he didn't necessarily think that DJ committed suicide, but you could tell in his answers, he was afraid to tell the truth.
Yeah, he said, he contradicted himself.
Mm-hmm.
He says that Brandy's boyfriend, just didn't seem like the type. He didn't think he did it on purpose, is what he said.
Right, yeah.
He don't think he did it on purpose, that he didn't seem like the type of person that would do that.
Right.
But then he turns right around and says, the reason I lied about it and I didn't tell the truth to begin with is because, for all I know, I was scared that he could have shot me next.
Yeah, and I wonder if fear really played a role in even the 911.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to say I wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, if I just seen somebody
get shot,
somebody's head off,
I'd be afraid too.
I would be afraid to say anything
I get that. Yeah, and I think that's what unfortunately complicated the case, is that because you have these witnesses changing their story, now you have detectives trying to figure out, okay, what actually happened. However, with that being said, again, we'll talk more into the evidence as far as the location, and just even, you just mentioned that DJ was right-handed, but the shot was in the left side of his cheek in a downward angle. How does that work?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
There was no things like you see in the movies where there was a string attached to something,
right.
Or, it was rigged up to where he could use his toe to pull the trigger.
Right.
It was nothing like that.
Right.
I mean, they want to say basically straight out, this was a suicide, that DJ put the gun up there and he pulled the trigger with his finger and shot himself.
Right. Even though no other evidence really supports a suicide, and we'll get to that too. I mean, let's talk about, too, who did the shotgun even belong to?
The shotgun belonged to the boyfriend. He was actually seen with the gun the day prior to the shooting by at least 4 of the people that were at the home in question.
Didn't he also mention, correct me if I'm wrong, in the interrogation or something, or one of the witnesses said why did he have the shotgun? He said he brought it out to scare DJ. And my thought on that would be, why would you have a bullet in there? It doesn't even make sense at all why you'd bring a gun out to just scare someone and shoot in the air. But
well, I actually asked the witness at the jailhouse about that, because 3 days before the shooting, the boyfriend pulled that same gun on DJ and Brandy and threatened Brandy with it and told her, because DJ and Brandy were sitting in a swing talking to one another about leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he was, the boyfriend was in the camper, and, campers are really thin-walled.
Oh, yeah.
You hear the room and everything.
Yep.
Apparently he overheard them talking, and I guess when he heard that, he came out the camper with the gun and pointed it at her and told her that the only way she would be leaving out of there was in a body bag, and made her get go in the camper.
Wow.
And and I'm thinking that I'm not sure if this is the same day that he shot it off into the ground or not, but I'm thinking it was.
Amazing.
And I could be wrong. I'm not exact on that. I could be wrong, but I know that it was shot off in the ground at one time to intimidate DJ. So that's why I asked that witness at the jailhouse that day. When he said that he thought he brought it up there just to intimidate them into stop arguing. Well, they wasn't arguing that day. They were like kind of having a little disagreement about Kool-Aid or sweet tea, but it wasn't like a harsh argument,
Well, and
it was just a disagreement.
Didn't DJ even in the text, he was saying, we have to get out of here. So he's not thinking,
You're right.
I need to get out of here. He's saying him and his wife need to get out of there.
Exactly. He's concerned about him and her.
Right, not just himself.
He didn't want to leave her behind. And that's the thing with DJ. DJ was not the type of person that DJ would walk anywhere. If he didn't have a ride somewhere, he would just get up and go. He would walk. He didn't care to. And that's our only conclusion is why he didn't just leave. Why didn't he just leave walking? And it was because of her. He did not want to leave her there.
And that makes sense. Let's talk about the 911 call too. That, when I heard it, not only did they hang up on the 911 operator, they had to call them back. The operator had to call them back. Who in their right mind, if you just witnessed somebody killing themselves, why would you hang up on the operator?
Funny, because if you listen really well to the 911 calls, all three of them.
I did.
Every time he hangs up on 911, you can hear someone in the background getting close to the phone.
Yeah.
Getting vocal. And that person is Brandy.
Yes. You can hear her pretty clearly, but you also can hear in his voice, he's trying to push her out of, he's trying to either push her out of the scene and come up with some story. And the only thing I could think of is he hung up because he's trying to think of, okay, what do I say now? What's my story?
Or to keep her quiet or calm or down, to shut her up. He didn't, in my opinion, he didn't want her saying anything and them hearing her say it. And I've listened to the 911 calls a billion times, it's my brother.
Too.
I've listened to them every which way I can. I don't have any kind of special equipment or anything. And I'm not going to say what I think she says.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though, because I know I heard similar.
Especially in the second 911 call.
Yes.
There are several things that if you listen very well, that's all you would need to hear to know, what happened.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to put things in people's heads. They can listen to it themselves and come up with their own opinion with what they think she said. That's me. I've always been that way. I've never tried to persuade someone into believing that DJ didn't kill herself. I've put it out there and I've told them, you look at the investigation report, you listen to the calls, you come up with your own opinion.
Yes. And that's what you did for me as well. You know, you've provided so many things. And when I first heard the story, you know, I always go into these cases with the mindset of, okay, he could have committed suicide or it could be murder. And so you always have to go into it with an open mind and then start kind of eliminating your theories once you start putting the evidence pieces together. And once I listened to the calls, read the autopsy, looked and watched the interrogation, listened to the jailhouse, you know, interviews you did with him personally. It's so, I mean, again,
Heather, I investigated this case more than they did.
And I'm sorry that you know, had to go through this. Just with the evidence, though, it's just amazing to me that still, with all of that, it's ruled a suicide. I feel like there would need to be more, at least something of saying, okay, he was depressed at some point, or he's tried to commit suicide before, or that, you know, I know
that's where the suicide ruling kind of played in. The boyfriend, the suspect, told the coroner that he was suicidal, that he was expressing suicidal thoughts and expressions, and the coroner relayed that information to the medical examiner at GBI, that there was a witness that seen him shoot himself, which was the suspect, that the witness also stated that DJ was expressing suicidal thoughts and, you know, ideas, and that the gun was removed out of DJ's hand by the first responding officer on the scene, which, you know, is a lie.
Yeah, that's not true, because on the 911 call, the 911 operator specifically told him, which again, I kind of disagree with this, but I know they deal with their own protocol. He told him to remove the gun. He told the suspect to remove the gun, or she, I can't remember if the first one was male or female on the operator.
It was female that told him to remove
she said remove the gun and place it someplace away safely. And now everybody knows, even if you watch Crime Stories 101, that's
tampering with evidence.
That's very much tampering with evidence and giving an alibi immediately to the suspect. You've already now just given an alibi as to why fingerprints would be on that shotgun, if they did do the testing, which, you know, according to the evidence, they just kind of took his word, which again is amazing to me, because you're taking the word of a potential suspect who was right in front of the dead victim, and in an interrogation stated his finger was on the trigger and he may have wrestled it out of his hands.
Right.
None of it added up.
I mean, suicide, I don't understand. I mean, I understand the suicide ruling because of the information, that was given to the medical examiner from the coroner, stating that there was a witness that seen him shoot himself. The gun was removed out of his hand by the first responding officer, and he was, expressing suicidal thoughts, which was all, pardon my French, but I can get why she ruled it suicide based on that information. But the thing is, once she got the correct information, she ruled this a suicide the day of the autopsy, which was, he was shot on the 3rd. The autopsy was done the morning of October the 5th. In the state of Georgia, if you commit suicide, it's a state law that they have to be sent for an autopsy, a limited autopsy. Mm-hmm. So basically, they did just the bare minimal on DJ on an autopsy, just to say that they did one.
Wow.
The autopsy literally took 30, 45 minutes, if that. And it was done.
But even a bare autopsy, even with what I've read in the bare autopsy, that should have been enough evidence. You're supposed to be an unbiased coroner. You take whatever information they give you from the detectives and whatnot, but you're still supposed to have that unbiased mindset for when you do your autopsy. If anything contradicts it, you're supposed to have that unbiased mindset to make an unbiased evaluation. And so even with that autopsy that being limited, there's still enough there. Again, it's just my opinion, and I'll state that, my opinion is that there's enough there to say, hold up, we need to do a full autopsy. Hey, there's something more here you guys need to take a look at.
Well, see, that's the problem. She didn't know any of the circumstances. She didn't even know DJ was right-handed. She didn't know that the witness that gave all that information was having an affair with DJ's wife. I mean, the detectives never had any communication with her whatsoever. None. Even to this day, they have never communicated with the medical examiner.
And that's amazing to me. Even if there was no information, a downward angle on your cheek going downward would be question enough in my mind. In my mind enough, that's questionable to say, okay, maybe we need to look a little bit further into this.
I agree. I completely agree.
Well, let's talk about your own feelings and emotions about this. Number one, you have been from day one nonstop on social media to get justice for your brother, and I commend you because you have worked tirelessly on his case, and the amount of evidence you even just provided me is like overwhelming. It's more than I've seen on any other case. So I want to give you, the utmost respect for that because I see how hard you're working. Do you feel?
It.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel that the coroner or the DA will ever change their ruling on the suicide ruling?
Well, the coroner will not because nobody can get in touch with him. We have never spoken with him. We tried calling him several times. We tried emailing him several times. We can't reach him. He won't return your calls. He won't talk to us. We've never talked to him. We were actually going to request a coroner's inquest. You have 30 days in the state of Georgia to request an inquest. How can you request a coroner's inquest when you can't get a hold of the coroner?
Right.
As far as the DA doesn't actually have the authority to change the ruling. It has to be done by either a coroner's inquest or the GBI has to change the ruling on cause of death. The DA can't. Now, the DA could take it to a grand jury as it stands, with it standing as a suicide. But I don't feel like that would be a good idea because, of course, the defense is going to call in the medical examiner. And if she has it listed as a suicide, she's going to, try to prove her theory.
Yeah, they really need to have, obviously the DA needs to have that ruling changed in order for them to get an indictment. And so I guess it starts with GBI then from the sounds of it and the coroner.
It all falls back to it's going to have to all fall back to the GBI. The GBI is going to be the one that has to change the ruling. And I don't want the same medical examiner to have anything to do with it. I wouldn't. If I had my choice, I wouldn't even have GBI, involved in it whatsoever because I don't trust them just from what they've already done. But it has to be done by GBI. I could hire 100 different forensic pathologists, and give them all the information and everything and have them come up with their own ruling on his cause and manner of death. But it's not going to do any good, in my opinion. I don't believe, like I said, I think I could have 100 different forensic pathologists say that this was a homicide, and I still believe that the district attorney would not present this to a grand jury unless it's the GBI that changes the ruling.
Right. And I agree. I think you're exactly correct on that. Where's the suspect now? What's his life like now?
Well, he's had a girlfriend for a little over a year. He's still running around the home that DJ got killed at. He's still running around there. His girlfriend actually sent a message to my mom October the 2nd, the day before DJ's visual, on Facebook, asking her are you DJ's mom? And my mom didn't know who she was. And she told her, yeah. And she says my mom asked her, do I know you? And she said, well, I knew Brandy a little bit. I didn't know DJ. She said, I just wanted to see how the babies were doing and tell you that I was very sorry about what happened to your son.
Wow.
So that it went all over me. The fact that, and I don't know the circumstances behind that.
Right.
I mean, I'm hoping that she reached out for a good reason, but I don't know. I don't know if they're still together. I don't know, because like I said, this was October 2nd. I keep tabs on him because I like to know where he's at, and everything. Sure. But I'm not a stalker or anything like that.
Well, of course. But I just wondered what his life is.
He's still in the area that this happened in,
Wow. And still walking around, living.
Yeah, he's living it up, like nothing ever happened, while my family is slowly falling apart and dying a little more every day because of the pain and suffering and stress and frustration and anger and every emotion you can have.
Yeah, and it's just a horrible case. I guess if there's one thing you can say, and the main reason I'm doing these podcasts as well is I want to give that platform to you guys, and I say you guys, victims' families, because this is all that you have right now. It is being able to keep DJs, keep him alive by trying to get the answers and trying to get justice. So in that, what would you like to say to the suspect today?
Admit to what you did. Be honest. Get it off your chest. Because I know he lives with it every day. Mm-hmm. I hope he does, at least. I mean, anybody that has any kind of heart or conscience would. And I just like to tell him, get it off your chest. Admit to what you did. Give us a little piece of closure. DJ's babies deserve at least that much. He took their father away from them. The least he could do is acknowledge the fact that he did that and apologize to them.
Yeah, at least say sorry.
Exactly.
Well, in closing, I guess, where can listeners find or go to? I know you're on Facebook and social media, but if you could give our listeners some more information where they can find out about DJ's case, and just more of, if they're interested, where they can go or how to help too.
Well, he's got a website. His website is justicefordj.com. You can find me on Facebook at Justice for DJ. You can find me on Twitter at JusticeForDJ88. The main thing is we have a petition. I don't know if the petition will ever do any good or not, but it does help. It lets, it will eventually let all the people involved in this know that this many people have read this investigation, went through all the evidence, and they agree that this was a murder and not a suicide. So we have the petition. I would really appreciate it if you sign the petition. We have a GoFundMe. We have a PayPal pool for donations because I'm paying for everything out of my own pocket. And until you went through this yourself, you have no idea how expensive this can be. You're talking at a couple of $100,000 if it has to go that far. And so far it looks like it's going to be going that route. Just mainly just share his story. We need the pressure put on them. As long as nobody cares or nobody is, pressuring them, they continue to ignore us. They won't even talk to us. I've sent 7 emails to the sheriff in the last 2 weeks trying to set up a meeting about discussing having the evidence tested ourselves, paying for it out of our own pocket. And he will not even respond to me to set up a meeting about having that done. So as long as nobody's putting pressure on them and people aren't putting the pressure on them, they don't care. They're just hoping that this will go away and I'll go away.
Yeah, well,
So we just need to we need to get it out there and just put the pressure on them. That's the main thing, is putting pressure on the sheriff's department, on the GBI, mainly the GBI.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, we're going to get it out there. Obviously, like I said, that's my main mission, is to give this platform, to keep it going, and to keep replaying it as many times as we need to, so that we can hopefully help you get that justice that you're seeking for DJ. And with that, I guess we'll wrap up for tonight. You know, we may talk again, I'm sure. I'll definitely stay in contact with you, and I'm more than willing to help in any way, shape, or form that I can. And until the next time, we will talk later on.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Yeah, you're very welcome.